World Extermination Radio with your hosts, John Vail and Tanner West.
Good. All right, we're live. We're here today with Aflonzo, and you know who I am. And
sure I do. Yeah.
And we're starting Program B. Welcome everybody to Doom Radio. And
gee, that's a low blow. Slow.
The official Doom World podcast. Just kidding. It's World Extermination Radio.
I'm really in two minds about doing this. This feels like sacrilege in one respect.
Yeah.
I don't think my fellow casters know I'm here, so just let's keep it that way, yeah?
Yeah, I know, I'm just messing around. So, how's it going, man? You doing good?
I'm doing okay. It's been a far more hectic weekend than I'd anticipated. We were supposed to do this yesterday, and maybe the day before that, or something like that, but...
I know, man.
We got this... Doom-wise, we got this whole Evolution of the WOD podcast going on, which originally was Dime's gig, and as I said, I think on the intermission podcast that Terminus is doing, I joked that, that the WODs were evolving faster than his broadcast. Like, it was supposed to be a chronologically by-the-year thing, but he was taking so long after starting in 2014 that, yeah, so Captain Clever's picked up the slack, and so that's been fun. But it was 4 hours yesterday on call, so
yeah,
I wasn't sure. We couldn't do it yesterday after that. My brain was frazzled.
Yeah,
eyes wouldn't cross, so...
Yeah, I can only talk so much, too. It seems cool, though. Do you like doing it? It looks like fun.
It is fun. I feel like sometimes I'm the pretentious guy who talks too passionately about Doom when it should be more of a laid-back approach. It sort of inevitably becomes that anyway after a time because, 4 hours, there's only so much you could talk about Doom, so... Huntsman jokes about how you go on to talk about eugenics and all that.
Yeah.
Trying to lower the quality of the cast because he has that masochistic sense of humor. That's great. But yeah, I do get into it quite a lot. I guess I take my Doom too seriously for some.
What is that
it's good to have Matt Tropiano on the cast though as well because he's a bit like me. He's also thinks about his work very seriously.
Yeah.
Which is probably why we went on for hours in a way.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched a little bit of it yesterday. Matt Tropiano is an awesome guy. I was really interested in listening to like how he developed a lot of these maps and the stuff that he was working on, and it was cool to listen to him be kind of like he kind of had like a heart-to-heart talking about his how he was like kind of having like this artistic crisis, and that was pretty cool of him to be like kind of vulnerable like that.
Yeah, it was. It's a shame almost that he he does this whole beer of the evening thing, and just when we got to the more interesting bits of his modern works, that's when he sort of went tits up. But still got some good conversation out of it. And so, yeah, no, it's good. I'm looking forward to doing it. It's really surprising actually how many viewers we've raked in for that.
Yeah.
I'm not really familiar with Captain Clever's streaming history. Maybe he has a following. I don't think it's a sizable one, so, but yeah. Podcasts apparently are just kicking off here in the Doom community.
Yeah, I love doing podcasts. I just love, just messing around, just talking to people. And that's like what I've been working on with WXR. I'm trying to get more like diverse people onto the show. Like I've been having like new mappers and stuff too. Like I had Joey Ilya recently, and I'm trying to get some like other people. Like I actually tried getting that guy. Did you see that thread on Doom World about the guy who wrote that bad review of Doom?
I mentioned, I did mention, but I saw that you made a post in that thread. Yes, anyway, it's a bit confusing to be honest. But honestly, that you get like at the time, I thought it was a bit strange that you'd get someone from outside the community who's a self-confessed troll, basically.
Yeah, I didn't.
You're pushing the envelope, so that's okay.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I didn't know that he was a troll at first. I wanted to give him like a very reasonable shot at explaining why he doesn't like Doom, but yeah, apparently he's just messing with people, and he's also like super hard to get to because you have to pay to be part of his website, and I'm hoping if I talk enough shit on him, he'll he'll hear about this and have to respond.
Yeah. He's a fugitive, though, I think. Or at least that's what I think Cynical posted on the thread. I only read it the one time. I'm not sure what he's a fugitive for, but the idea of a review troll who just trolls through the internet to poke fun at people, all the while jumping borders so he can keep doing what he loves most, is a thrilling idea. So maybe you should get him on just for that reason.
I know. I was really hoping to. I haven't been able to get in contact with him, though. I saw his Cynical gave me some of like a little bit of his contact information. He has like a Steam group, and his title for his group is "I only respond to people who signed up to my forum." So I'm like, okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so,
all the more reason. Well, look, you go do that podcast, and I'll just grab this barge pole over here and push myself away from the bank. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I guess that's not going to happen. But
I do I quite like how prolific you've been with putting out this material. I get caught up a lot in the edits and stuff. That could be a sort of surreptitious way of me like saying that you should edit your stuff a bit more. I've heard people say that it'd be nice if John's podcasts were a little bit more scrubbed up because they like the content, right? But you've been putting out quite a lot, and so that makes me more conscious of doing radio, not putting out enough material. So it's a good sort of combative stance. I quite like it. Good competition.
Yeah, I did like. I do get a little self-conscious, like maybe I should edit that part out, but I don't know. I at the same time, I kind of want to give people like the real me and real, the guest and stuff, and just be honest. And if things slip out, then
right.
The whole time I'm just trying, like I'm not out to get anybody or anything, but if something comes up, we'll try and work it out during the show.
Right. Well, and you want to let it stand on its own merits, right? It's disingenuous, really, to go back and I can understand that as well. Yeah. In fact, I sometimes feel as though I can get caught up in editing so much that it does sort of not ruin the integrity of the cast or something, but I probably won't improve at the rate that I want to if I'm not, just letting what I say in the moment just either live or die.
Yeah.
Based on what I say. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I'll do is I'm still like, for some reason I'm still working on this, but I like every time we start this episode, I just like every time I start an episode, I don't know how to start it. Like I'm always like jumbling up my words. Like I don't know if I have to like give an intro. I don't know if I should, because everybody knows what they're coming here for, and like the only way to get to like the YouTube links is through the World Extermination Radio thread, and then there's a giant splash that says World Extermination Radio, and it's titled World Extermination. Like, do I have to say World Extermination Radio when you guys sign up? Like you know what you're watching. I don't have to introduce myself. You know who I am.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I guess though when it's such a tightly knit community, it's nice to sell the pretense of being a radio show or a proper this is a proper podcast, but of the sort that you get from a quality podcast. So just having that loose formatting, just as a formality, makes it seem like it's the real deal. I guess you could just launch into speech and just have that just be the whole thing, but I don't know. I like dressing it up.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing preambles and stuff. But in the end, I was just too lazy. So I just slapped in Jimmy's jingle and then just do essentially what you do.
Yeah, it's too much work. I just like to get these done.
Yep.
That's how it was when I first started. When I started this the first time, well, first of all, I had shittier technology, so I had like really crappy computers, and it took longer to process the videos. And sometimes I lost entire episodes that we did with some people, which really sucked. And
I actually misplaced the pros and cons of deleting material podcast that you and I did when we were sort of doing if you remember that, the debate with Jimmy, and I don't know what happened to that. I think I deleted it in a wonderful instance of irony. No, I think I just misplaced it somewhere because I switched computers not too long ago, and I probably didn't make the trip because it's probably in Spain somewhere, sitting on a different hard drive. Probably not worth the effort to fly out there and get it. So I'll just let it mill.
Yeah. No, I just press the record button, and then we talk on Skype, and then just whatever it is, I delete any like there's like there's a little bit in the end that wasn't supposed to be recorded or something, and I'll just delete that, and then I'll just attach like a quick like guitar riff intro that I pick out. It's been the same one for like the last 10 episodes, but I don't know. I don't feel like messing around with it. I just put it out there. I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, so I've been getting into like Joe Rogan Experience and stuff, and that's what he does.
Oh,
He just goes straight into it, and there's no editing or anything. It's just guys talking. That's how I like to do it. But yeah, about this guy, Icy Calm. I wanted to get him on the show, but I haven't been able to contact him. And I was reading his review, and I feel like he does make a couple good points, even though he's trolling. Because I actually did kind of I empathized with him, and I kind of followed with how his story went, because he was saying that he was talking about how he used to play video games when he was a kid with a group of his friends. And essentially what his review was saying in the beginning was that he was playing Full Throttle on the same time that he got Doom. And when his friends played Full Throttle, they played for like 3 to 6 hours, and when they played Doom, they got bored after like 1 or 2. And the gist of what I was getting was that they got lost in the levels, and that all the levels were kind of indistinct. And I kind of understand that. I kind of get behind that, because Doom has like that kind of abstract style. Like all the military bases are just kind of nondescript military bases that just happen to have names. And so I kind of understood it, but I also kind of wonder if he just sucked at the game and he just couldn't figure out where to go, and he just kept getting lost.
Well, I mean, is this a recent review? I haven't actually read it.
Yeah, it is kind of. Okay. It's recent as far as I know. So this guy makes a series of reviews called Video Game Art. And so he does these reviews of games that he picks out that he validates as art. And,
it's funny that he should use the word art. I don't know. It seems disingenuous to me not to consider the community content if you're reviewing Doom in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Because that's really what's meant by the game these days. He's speaking. Understandably, those are just the circumstances at the time in which he enjoyed or didn't enjoy the game. But really to disregard what makes the game today, which is all the extra content. I mean, there's not much replayability if it was just stock Doom. The game would have died out, when Quake came along proper.
Yeah.
There weren't the tools to create the extra content. So it's not. I don't know. It doesn't seem like, and particularly using the word art, because art implies a sort of legacy of like trends that come in and die out. And I'm not going to be so pretentious to say that it's self-reflection. It is for some people when they map, like Zan or Yakvak, isn't it? So, but that seems to be missing the point to me.
Yeah, I would say so too, and because I think if you ask most people like what their favorite gun is in Doom, they'll probably say super shotgun or rocket launcher or
Fist.
Berserk. Yeah, exactly. Berserk. Exactly.
Fist is the worst. Berserk is the best. To figure that one out.
Or if you ask them what their favorite monster is, most people will say like Revenants or Arc Vials. And if you're playing Doom for the first time, and if I'm going by context clues, he probably only got to like E1 M5 of Doom before he decided this game sucked. So he obviously didn't see very much of it. And he does mention in the review, after 5 or 6 mega paragraphs of just musings about how it was like playing video games back in the day. He does mention that he's aware of the existence of WADs, but he understands that they're just levels, and he doesn't understand why anybody would want to download more levels for a dungeon crawler type of game.
Well, that's it. I mean, that rules him out of the conversation. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not really sure what you could probably expose him on this front if you got into an interview. I don't know. It doesn't seem worth the time and effort. I mean, it seems it's easy to read into why he's written that article and the lack of proper judgment. That I don't know what if you'd actually end up talking about the game much at all if you were interviewing him.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Maybe you see. Yeah,
I think he'd just be fucking with me if I had him on the show.
Maybe that's what you want.
Yeah, because I don't know. It would be silly because I'd be the one that's passionate about it, and he's obviously being shitty. And the episode might last 45 seconds. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to have him.
At the same time, though, I mean, Doom Radio is very, I don't want to say insular, but it is very much a podcast for the people in almost just Doom world. It's not. I don't even advertise it as much as I should outside. VR seems they don't follow it at all. They follow Intermission, which is because Terminus is the link there, right? He's the one who's known for doing all the gameplay mods and stuff over there. So when he puts out a cast, it's not really for Doom Radio. It's linked to Doom Radio, but that's what they're interested in. But otherwise, the rest of the podcast are more or less Doom world centric. So perhaps there's an angle don't know why I'm giving you assistance. This is a terrible idea, but WXR could probably, if even communicating with people who conduct reviews from a more outside stance, that would provide a more interesting angle, maybe. Because you're sort of more lax.
Yeah, I thought of a couple silly things. Like, I have a friend that I'm talking to recently, and I've been wondering if I could maybe talk him into playing Doom, and then maybe have him on the podcast to talk about what his first experience was like. And that would be kind of, I don't know, that's fascinating.
Make it more relevant to the I don't know, to the indie scene or the game industry at large or something.
Yeah.
Do you play enough other modern games to sort of get into that discussion if you wanted to? Because I know myself, I'm just, if I'm not playing Doom, I'm playing golf or gardening or something.
Well, that's how I am too.
That's I think the last modern game I played was probably like The Walking Dead Season 1. Telltale game, it was in 2015 or something. Other bits and pieces, desktop games, stuff like that, but I'm not a gamer, I suck, basically.
Yeah, I feel like you and me are a lot alike. We play a lot of Doom, and I don't really play much anything else either. I played the new Doom game when it came out, and I played it from start to finish, and I liked it a lot. But I bought a PS4 just for it, just so I could play it. And since then,
wow.
And I bought it, and I bought it with 2 controllers, so my wife and I could play games together. And my wife and I are having the hardest time finding a game that we could both play, especially because almost every game that comes out for the PS4 is single player plus online multiplayer, and that's all it has. There's nothing there's no split screen games. I mean, they're making a new Crash Bandicoot that's coming out soon, but that's I don't know how far along that is. And
I don't know what platforms they're coming. There's people have been calling for this sequel to, I think it's called Banjo-Kazooie or something.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what platform that's coming. Apparently it's got terrible reviews, but the sort of rehashing of 90s platformers of that kind seems to be all the rage these days. Apparently, who would have thought it's not well reviewed because it's too much like a 90s platformer? I don't know. If I go back into games, I'd probably have to come back through that avenue because I have no idea of any modern titles. I have to be. Someone would have to tug the nostalgia strings of my heart to get me to play something else and wean me back onto the scene. But I'm just not interested anymore.
Yeah,
I'm more interested in mythology than I am in computer games these days.
You're
Birdwatch, God damn it!
You said mythology.
Australia's wildlife is awesome.
Oh really? Yeah, I've heard about that. It's like I wanted to ask you about that. Is it dangerous living in Australia? Because of like.
I'm not the best person to ask because I rarely go outside of the city. In fact, until quite recently, I probably didn't go into the city as much as I should have. But now I try to spend as much time in there to sort of reconnect to the social, to the cultural heart of Melbourne.
Okay.
Because I'm right. Yeah, it's got a great comedy circuit, music circuit. Melbourne Comedy Festival's just come and gone. I haven't seen any poisonous something or other curling their way down Lygon Street. Smith Street or whatever, so I'll let you know if something bites me in the ass.
Or maybe it won't. Maybe it just.
I'm sure.
If you're gone forever, then I'll know.
Yeah. Great bird wildlife. When I touched down in the country again, I was in the UK for a long time. That was in 2012. I came back. It's just birds everywhere. And no one talks about it because they've been in the country for so long. But I knew I would lose interest in this. How could you? It's teeming the skies with birds. So it's a bit weird. I don't know why I'm talking about this all of a sudden, but that's probably because that's what I spend most of my time doing when I'm not playing Doom and I have that much free time. Bird watching. Weird.
Yeah, we don't get much animals here, but we have like squirrels and like a couple stray cats every once in a while. But that's pretty much it. Where else have you lived? I remember. I think I talked to you not too. I think the last time I talked to you, you said you were living in Spain.
What? Yeah, I was in Spain for a year and a half. I was staying there with my mother's place. She's stuck up in the mountains in a little village community, and she was doing some renovations on the house, so I was helping her with that. And then I went to Holland, and I studied in Scotland before that. I didn't actually complete my degree, and so I've been around, but I've had enough of that and trying to settle down, and it's taking long enough to get my Australian accent back, which is a problem. It gives me something of an identity crisis. Although it is handy when the World Cup is on, I can just say, whichever team's winning is the one I support.
That's funny. I haven't actually I haven't traveled much at all, and I actually kind of regret that. I went full force into buying my first house, and I'm still living in the same house that I bought, and I like it. I do like owning a house, but I do kind of wish I traveled a little bit more.
Matt Tropiano, of course, we were talking about him before. He was on Evolution of the Wod yesterday. He hadn't traveled outside of the country at all until he attended. I think it's called. I keep confusing the two. I think it's the Maze is the one in Germany. He's been back to Germany twice. He's going a third time next week. I think he's going back again. So that's the first time he left the country is to go to a gaming convention, and since then he's only ever left the country to go to gaming conventions. I keep trying to tell him, "You're in Germany, goddammit, go out and see, I don't know, go outside the city, see Cologne or something. I don't know what else to do in Germany." But he's a beer enthusiast, so we should go down in October and crack on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but he just stays there for 3 days to promote Square, which is cool. Then he passes off back to America. Like, sort yourself out.
Have you had any involvement with Square?
Yeah, no, I was part of the team when it was kicking off. But I got bogged down. Part of my problem at the moment is that I'm an ideas guy.
Yeah, I am too.
But I'm just a little bit. This is a problem that I guess a lot of people on Doomworld have. But I'm just a little bit more than ideas guy, that I get involved in the projects that I have ideas for as well, but never enough to actually complete them. So I'm like a worse Caesar in that respect. So Square wasn't really. I was quite involved for a time. It was my number one priority, but at a certain point, I pulled out of my own volition. The rest of the team sort of wanted me on, but I figured I'd just be more of a hindrance because everyone was really stalling, and they're still struggling to get E2 out. But it seems to be getting pretty close. I did some level design for the 6 map, A1, A6. That was a collaboration with Caesar, and I composed some of the music for it as well, which I'm very pleased with.
That's good.
And generally just a lot of other ideas. We bounced back and forth. It was a really fun experience. I might return to it. Depends if they really need my assistance and if I can sort of get a clean slate tabula rasa again. But we'll see. I'm so tied up. We're just finishing Marcake's Mayhem 2016 project just in time for May. Ridiculous. It's supposed to take 1 month. I sort of justified it again by saying, hey, if you release it, they didn't say which May, right? Just release it in the following May, and it'll be totally coherent.
Yeah, just wait. Yeah, that's the thing with community projects, man. They always take longer than you think they're going to take. I thought Mutiny would get done in like a few months, and it took like several. And
so several months, but that's still short.
Yeah,
by today's standards.
I
that's
pushed
speedy.
it hard. I pushed it hard. I kept. You should see my my private message sent box. I was sending private messages to everybody, like, hey, let me get some updates. What's going on? Do you want me to help you with this? Do you want me to play test this for you? Stuff like that. Like, where are you at? All kinds of things. Just trying to get people motivated and keep them, in the loop of what's going on. And it was a big commitment.
You must have some ideas about like trying to find new angles to get people interested in projects and stuff, because I don't know, every now and then you seem to put up a thread that speaks to the heart of this issue, that people get disinterested, or different means of leadership and communication, that sort of thing. So I kind of interested to know your stance is on that.
I do think about it a lot. I'm kind of like abandoning the idea of community projects these days, only because they come up so almost all the time lately.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I want more team-based stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And as you were saying, like how you're like more of an ideas guy, I'm getting the impression that people are making community projects just because they're idea people and they don't feel like working on it themselves.
Right.
And so they just kind of outsource their ideas to people who have free time. And I don't think that's always the best way to go. But I do kind of consider. I have been kind of opening up to the idea of teams. But I don't really like the idea of keeping projects a secret. I don't really like secret. I don't really get the idea behind it. I don't find any real reason to keep things a secret. But I do want to kind of like create teams, and I'm not really sure how to do that like on the forums when anybody can post on it. So I'm not really sure how to get around that. Maybe you could like the new Doom forums allow you to include a bunch of people in a private message, and maybe you can kind of create something that way. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's how Evo got started. I thought Captain was just messaging me individually, but no, you can invite people. That's really handy. So there's the scaffolding is there, frameworks there if you want to do more team-based stuff. That's easy. But I don't know. It feels to me like what really interested me recently was Jaws in Space has put out the new Petitions Gate 2
Yes.
with working title. It would be named something else. And it's one big wall of text, which is the primary reason I think why it hasn't gotten many responses. I would have assumed there are enough veterans kicking around who are familiar with Petitions Gate that would have just gone off like that, like a rocket.
Yeah.
But a part of me feels like because it's not formatted the way that most, like almost autopilot community projects are these days, in which you have your 32 hyphens just waiting to be filled, the slots, people just didn't read the text, just went, stuff it, and then walked away.
Honestly, I didn't even read it. I saw the thread and I was like, hey, I made something like this. I thought about this too, and I just kind of posted some graphics that I worked on, and that was kind of like a community project idea that I had, but I was kind of afraid of pitching it as a community project because there's just so much variances in people's styles and quality and stuff, and a major challenge that I have is working with people who either haven't finished their maps and aren't going to, and I also have trouble dealing with people who are like afraid to let other people touch their maps, like they're afraid to lose their artistic style to it, which is kind of like what Matt Tropiano was saying in Evolution of the Wild, and I understand it and I can sympathize with it, but I don't know, like it's hard because like if you put this much attention into leadership, you do kind of have to realize that this isn't people's jobs, you know, they're just kind of they're volunteering to do this, so you can't really make them do anything.
Right.
So it's
right.
I don't know, it's a lot to think about. I don't know. I haven't been thinking too hard about it though, because I do have to like kind of shake the idea, because when I came up with Mutiny, I anticipated the maps would come out way different than they actually did, and no problem with that. I think the maps came out pretty good, and it won a CAC award, so it had to have been good for some people. But I thought it was a lot of fun, but it did come out differently than what I thought. I thought a lot of newer mappers would pick up on it, and it did. It actually did attract a lot of newer mappers, but it had like a very modern style, and I kind of expected it to be more closer to what Strain looked like. And I
thought it was pretty on point. It's in fact I couldn't shake that title from my mind. Maybe I was predisposed to think that way because of how you pitched it, but it did strike that cyberpunk sort of steampunk. Not steampunk. Steampunk's the 20th century thing, isn't it? Cyberpunk is what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It does. I like how the colors came together, and I like everybody's use of colors too. It came out really well. But I don't know. I pictured that it would be a good place for like newer mappers to make like a classic style looking thing. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of, I don't know. It's not bad. I'm not complaining. It came out really good, but it was different than what I expected.
You know, it's really interesting because the way most projects are conducted today is really, really, it means it's really accessible to new people, because no one's you can just claim a slot and the slot's yours and it won't be removed, regardless of the quality of your map. So newcomers feel, and because of how numerous they are, these projects, there isn't enough, introspection from the leaders of those projects or others partaking in it. You'll get feedback, but it won't be scrutinized to the point where, so a new mapper is a new level designer is going to feel very comfortable jumping to any one of those projects. I'm not sure what the distinction is with Mutiny. I think it's because it was such a good idea that veterans who were looking for something different were more prepared to jump on quickly, and so that probably scared away some of the newcomers. That's just a guess. Compare that to, say, something like I don't know the name of it because I don't think it has a name. I think the title was just Doom 2 map stuff for Doom. That was just a Megawar proposal. It was just, hey, let's do nothing but make maps, and then immediately, and at the time I thought, well, there's no way this is going to work. But then I was completely wrong, because, as you might imagine, it was all the newbies who were flooding into that space. People who were familiar with they've seen this all before. They don't want to partake in it, but the new guys saw an opportunity to flaunt their stuff without too much backlash, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Sadalon is the guy who's doing it. So that's really interesting. That filled up like all of the slots within 3 days. Astonishing.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and it's cool though because I like how it's a good healthy environment for people to start mapping.
Sure.
If they've never made anything before, that would be a good place to start. It's just kind of like a random whatever community project. I really liked how Doom the way it did took off because people who started mapping could use the iWads as a reference to how to make a good map. And that was really, I really love how that project came out. And I really enjoyed working on it at the time. Hey, let me ask you something. Do you think when id Software decided to make Doom 2, that they designed those maps in the same way that like community projects play out on Doom World? Like they create like a bunch of map slots and like this is the way I picture it. Like let's say you're in the id Software office and they're at like this large conference table. I don't know why I picture it that way because they have like 6 or 7 guys working there.
Yeah.
But just like a conference table with like 30 chairs and everyone's standing there and John Romero comes in the room and he's like, all right, we got the okay from the investors. We're making Doom 2. And immediately Sandy Peterson stands up and he's like, all right, I call map 1. And
I think it was even more lax than that. I think it was like some of the stories that were coming out of the studio at the time, or that we now know about, like when the Icon of Sin, like when Romero's headless stick. I think I can't remember if it was Adrian or anyway. I mean, it was just made secretly, and then it was placed in the corner of the map, and then they surprised him with it.
Yeah.
So he said, just no clip into that space or something. And it's not exactly the story, but just that's the sort of attitude that I think they had at the time. They just made stuff and then just called each other into the office. Hey, come look at this. See what I made. Or if, Romero wasn't death matching all the time or something like that. So, which is what I understand he was doing, is being lazy. That's why he was fired, wasn't it? He was more interested in just doing deathmatch.
Yeah, that's what I read in Masters of Doom.
Yeah, I think they had a loose philosophy that they discuss as to what Doom 2 would be and how to open up levels and stuff, but otherwise they wouldn't claim slots. The idea seems ridiculous to me. They would just make maps and they'd say, it's cool, and then, or not.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the alpha material from Doom 2? Like the Catacombs map, which is completely different. It's more like E2 and Vive for the number of doors and how cramped it is and stuff like that. It's really interesting.
I looked at it a little bit. Well, I didn't look at it much outside of what people posted on the forum. Like people were posting screenshots of maps that they saw, and Entryway was like way bigger than it ever should have been, and a bunch of other maps were like huge too. And that was funny watching Evolution of the Wild when you guys played Dead Simple, because I didn't get to see that until you guys played it, but that was hilarious to watch. The alpha Dead Simple, where it's just like that big courtyard with like 3 closets in it or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's a complete dud, that thing. Although you mentioned the idea of Sandy Peterson jumping to his feet as soon as Doom 2 was announced and grabbing map 1. McGee had all the other small. Like, he did small maps, and he did everything from 2 to 7 if you include his collaboration with Dead Simple, but Sandy had map 1, so I wonder if he did actually claim that slot, thinking Romero's not going to get away with it this time, or I'm not going to let that mechanic get the map 1 slot. He doesn't deserve it. It's me, baby. It's me. My time to shine.
Yeah, I picture him like, this is going to be great. I can use all my maps. I can get Nirvana and Barrels of Fun and Tricks and Traps and Suburbs. I don't know, Sandy. We should talk about this first.
He's the de facto throw pasta at the wall kind of guy. So
John, listen. The world needs Barrels of Fun. I don't know, Sandy.
It does.
But I don't know. I do picture like Sandy being like kind of this really experimental type of person, just kind of like messing around with the editor and just kind of churning out whatever he comes up with. And I think that's part of what makes like Doom 2 so special, because you do kind of like if you play like Duke Nukem 3D, that's like one of the only other like classic 90s shooters that I've ever played. Like the plot of the game is, there's aliens and they're coming to steal all the babes, and you have to save the city and attack the aliens and whatever. But in Doom, there's the Crusher, and there's skyscrapers, and there's tunnels and sewers, and there's a map where it's an arena between a cyber demon and a mastermind, and then they have the pit, and it just like there's a whole. It's just really dynamic how the level design is, and I think that contributed a lot to how the community evolved, because you can really just get an editor and just make anything, and it's plausible, like you wouldn't really see Egyptian maps in something like Duke Nukem. It wouldn't make sense. And,
I think I did have Egyptian maps in the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, really?
The Duke Nukem 3D. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. It's a weird game.
Oh.
Something like quadruple barrel shotguns and grey aliens. I can't remember. Yeah. There's probably a reason I can't remember, because it's bad.
Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, people have made all sorts of maps for Doom. There's icy winter caverns, and there's oceans and tropical islands, and there's space stations, all kinds of stuff. There's everything is seems plausible in Doom, just because the level design is so abstract. There's so much creativity involved. You can just kind of do whatever you want and use the resources you have available, and that'll make sense for a Doom map. Whereas in something like Duke Nukem 3D, the levels are a little bit more realistic, which is probably cool for the player, but kind of stifling as far as creating your own content.
Maybe. I think so. I mean, it is more like the identity of the game is more honed, I guess, from the outset. So people are inclined to think that the maps only work in a certain environment, and they do for the most part. I think the Levelwood, and I can't remember who else was on the mapping team. They probably, because one of the ideals of Duke 3D is that you get to blow shit up and mess with the environment in the more sort of dynamic, explosive way than you can with Doom. So they probably had a lot of fun with. You can tell they had a lot of fun with creating. Sort of, it was realistic environments-ish, but it was in a nice middling space between that and something that's slightly abstract. But then with the idea that as you move through the level, you can just break it down or blow up buildings or whatever. So they're creating their own semi-realistic spaces that they could just do whatever with. So I mean, it's like Doom, I guess, in some way, but it's just on a different stage of the continuum, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And also, I think around that time you had level designers who are just far more enigmatic and were free to do to express more of themselves without necessarily being, not conforming to some model that's expected of them in like a AAA game or something like that. So you had Sandy Peterson, who is extremely interested in what he does, but comes in from his own angle and isn't being interrupted by the other guys on the team, which you probably wouldn't get these days.
Yeah.
Go Sandy.
Oh yeah. So would you say that the reason I thought about that the other day, because I was looking at this Doom editing thread on Doom World, and it was someone made a copycat of Post Your Doom textures, and I think it was Not Jabba. He made a thread about post your heretic textures, and almost nobody's contributed to it. And I actually sat down at a computer and decided I was going to make some recolors and stuff of heretic textures, but I'm finding that there's really not much room for innovation outside of bricks. I can't really think of anything.
Oh, do you mean working with composites, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what would heretic mappers want to use, and it's just in a game where the design is so focused on that particular theme. It's kind of hard to think of what people would want to use, as opposed to something like Doom. You can just make Chinese oriental textures, and it'll just people will use them.
No one has any problem whatsoever, for all the plasma guns and FT9000s, putting Doom in a more medieval space. I mean, we get it all the time with shit like Eternal, but for some reason, no one's made a tech-based heretic set. It would just be bizarre. It'd be unthinkable.
Yeah.
Although there's no difference really. It's just vice versa. So I guess it is kind of like Duke 3D in that respect. Heretic's in a really weird space.
It is. It's very weird.
Because I'm one of those people who thinks that Doom's a better game, but we don't know how good Heretic is still.
Right.
Doom will still be better. I'm pretty sure, but we just haven't given it the time of day to really flesh it out enough. Christus sort of made some headway with Curse of Disbarrel in making probably not the first quote unquote slaughter sort of Heretic set, but certainly one of the first certainly the first notable one that people were prepared to step out of their shells and play and stuff like that. And then people like Rock King, they pumped out he put out Elfkin's Piss last year, which is a sort of balls to the wall. I think I called it bawdy for some reason. That's probably because I know Rock King too well. But he actually had almost a sort of sandy approach as well. He just like hell for leather with the items and it just lets you unleash and have fun. But there just needs to be more content for the game that helps realize what it could become.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've been thinking about it myself. And like if I were a level, if I decided to make Heretic maps, how would I make them? And I can't like think of anything besides just kind of like copying the original Heretic style and just making it a little more detailed. It's just, I don't know. It's just it seems empty to me, and it's hard to say that because when you have a theme that kind of revolves around medieval and magic, it seems like you can kind of like if you have something like magic, it seems like you can pretty much make anything go. You can do whatever you want. Really, you can make floating. I don't know, but I guess it requires a lot more imagination than something like Doom, because Doom, like, even though it has kind of sci-fi elements to it and also like medieval elements to it too, and as far as like the hell levels and stuff go, there's still a bit of a realism involved with it because you're using familiar weapons and
right.
So you can kind of like branch over to other kinds of themes. I don't know.
Honestly, I think the problem is that Heretic is not seen as its own separate game so much as what it is, but you consider what's been put up for total conversions and partial conversions or whatever these days, and it's really no different than just a mod, just like those.
Yeah.
And so people, if you ask the question, well, why isn't Heretic trying to embrace new themes, why can't it be thought of in any other capacity than what it is at stock value, which is just a medieval magic first-person shooter thing? It's because that's, if you're going to depart from it that much, then you might as well be doing it with Doom, which is at base a better game, rather than trying to modify something that's I guess coming in at the wrong angle.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of like trying to make a mod for a mod. Like, let's say if you had Simpsons Doom, like
exactly.
Why aren't you innovating with Simpsons Doom? Well, there's only so much of Springfield that you can make.
We don't want to go to Shelbyville. There's nothing over there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird game. I don't know. I'd like to give it more attention, but I just don't know what to do with it. But the question came up because I was working on textures for it, and I was just kind of at a loss. I didn't know what to make, and I don't know. I guess it's true. If you're gonna do something for Heretic, you can just as easily do it for Doom. In fact, much easier for Doom. What do you think? Do you think there'll ever be another Doom the way it did?
Other than the existing Ultimate Doom the way it didn't fun. You mean for the original game?
Yeah, I wondered about the idea of replacing the Community Chest series with just like an annual remake Doom again. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
You mean, but presumably with more lax approach to authenticity?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
not necessarily.
Well, the thing is, it's always fun to just kind of like muse about how Doom was made, like when it was made in id Software. Just kind of like really analyze the level design and like find out all these like subtle character. Like I feel like there's a lot. I feel like you and I are kind of the same way, in the same way that we kind of you can almost look at a player somebody's map, and you can almost kind of determine what they like just by what they make. You know what I mean? You can kind of pick up on these subtle cues, like they like these types of secrets, or they like to, if they're gonna have a berserk pack, they want to punch imps. You know, like you can kind of there's a lot of little things you can figure out just by playing people's maps. I like I like listening to you when you went on Evolution of the WAD, because I feel like you're kind of you're the way I like that you're kind of like the voice of reason sometimes. Some because like sometimes like, you'll play. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe not so much in the last one. I mean, I thought you were kind of ripping Matt Tropiano a new one, but I know you were just kind of messing around.
Yeah, well, I hadn't studied the material as much as I probably should have. I wasn't expecting to be exposed for 4 hours as opposed to 2, but yeah.
That's okay. But what I do find sometimes, like even when you're surrounded by like people who you'll like, for example, you guys will play a map and it'll be terrible, and most of the people will just be like, this sucks, this map is terrible, it's objectively bad, there's nothing good about it, let's move on to the next one. And you'll step in and be like, well, maybe we're not really imagining it from, the map designer's side of things. Like maybe he pictured it a different way and it just came out differently. He just didn't execute it properly. And I'm so relieved when you say stuff like that, because I'm like this, like when I'm listening to it and they're just saying that this is bad and there's nothing good to say about it, I'm just like, it can't be. This review cannot be this empty. And when you step in and say that, it's such a relief.
Well, thanks for that, John. Although Captain Clever in chat is absolutely correct. It is just the accent that makes me sound compelling. I'll take that away, and I'm just grey matter. There's just nothing. There's no valuable content whatsoever. Get pissed off when people say, gee, you're a real smart sounding. It's just because it's Oxfordshire. But thanks. No, I mean, I do try to, steer the ship. I guess I kind of try to make sure greasing the wheels of podcasts and technique and stuff like that, and making sure we're always on topic. Once I get fed up, which I'm happy to go off the rails or whatever. I mean, Evo is probably too long as it stands. I know Captain's heard me complain about that a little bit so far, but I can't. I get sick after like 4 hours in front of a computer monitor. Yeah,
I do too. I used to be able to play Doom all the time. There were times where I could play Doom until my fingers got tired. And I don't know. I play Doom like maybe 1 or 2 hours at a time. I don't even like sitting at the computer for very long. But I also have a job where I sit at a computer too, so I don't.
Ouch.
Yeah. It's too much sitting. I've heard that sitting is the new smoking. As we talk right now, I'm actually on the floor on the carpet. I don't put my laptop on a table. I don't actually have a chair in the room. It's just it's a desk, a wardrobe, chest of drawers, 2 chests of drawers, and a bed. It's really weird. People just assume I'm poor when I am, but they assume I sold my chair or something. Not that bad. Hey, the idea of like community chest transforming into something else. Community chest is like the identity of that's going to be called into question as well once that kicks off again. I presumably TGH. When we're listening to this, he's kind of busy these days with the games maintenance and stuff like that. But it's kind of been usurped already, hasn't it? The idea of the community project leads it in a bit of a weird space. Like for a time, I was prepared to sell it as the Porsche version of community projects, and that would be quality maintained and that sort of thing. But now I don't know if Community Chest 5 happens now. Like what would distinguish it? Like it's been so long since the 4th as well that you wouldn't, like, most of the people who've come into the community recently wouldn't be familiar with like the brand, what it carried. So how would it even kick off? How would it be successful? Yeah,
it's a weird question.
And most people are already involved in other community projects anyway. So even if you started it, I mean, they're probably putting their best work in something else instead. Maybe.
Doom World MegaWad project, of course, which I always thought was like a great place if I would submit something just kind of trash can depository for something I was working on but didn't quite follow through with. But people seem to be taking it quite seriously. You've got like Dobu Gabu Maru submitted some behemoth maps that he spent weeks and weeks and weeks working on, and that's taken me by surprise. Again, it's kind of like the Make Any Maps for Doom 2 project that's cropped up. I've lost touch with. I'm supposed to be a podcast host, and I don't understand how the community works anymore. It's quite embarrassing.
Well, it's I don't know if evolve is the right word. I mean, it could be in some ways. There's a lot of ways that it's transformed for the better, but it's also got a lot of weird things about it too. just kind of the whole the way Doomworld has kind of turned into like this new social media type thing where you can just kind of post statuses and like posts and stuff. It seems like it's attracted a lot of new people, people that probably wouldn't be posting otherwise. And in a way that's pretty cool because a lot of them are using it for mapping, which is good.
Yeah, like look, the new folks are just eager to get started.
Yeah,
and I think it's up to us, people who are more familiar with the status quo, to change that and occasionally just come up with new things. And I know you try quite hard on that front when you have the time to do so. And I don't know, I was throwing around the idea of, well, presumably new people wouldn't participate in this whatsoever, but just to help. I guess for the rest of us folk who've been in the community for a long time, I don't know, actual mapping competitions. You could have a diverse panel you could select, so people wouldn't be worried about being partisan or something like that, and then go to town, have championships, have April agitation.
Yeah,
so April just happened, so have it next month. I don't know, whatever. Just spice things up a bit, change the status quo. It does feel a bit stale to me sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I get. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That would be a cool
idea. What do you think about
kind of
limitation projects?
What do I think about limitation projects? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of bored with them. Well, I don't know. I play a lot of stuff, but I give everything a fair chance. But I don't know. I mean, how many limitations are left? I mean, I can't really think of any. If I were to pick one for myself, I couldn't even think of one.
Well, unless we start going into the territory that Cyphistra at one point proposed, which was no keys and no imps as part of the same project, which is really weird idea. I don't understand how they're related, but there it is. So I mean, that's a telltale sign. I think that we've kind of exhausted.
Yeah,
unless we're prepared to rehash over old ground.
Yeah, if you come up with every permutation. 50
Shades of Grey is fun, at least.
You come up with every permutation of limits that there is. No keys, no imps, but okay, keys this time, but no cyber demons. Yeah.
Well, incidentally, the ZDoom forums, I'm not sure how often you check those out because they're not at all well known for mapping projects. I mean, for community collaborations. Joe Earlier, of course, was your most recent guest, I think, and he has since been sent packing from Doomworld. Some might say tragically, some might be rejoicing. I'm the neutral individual in that space.
Thank you.
At least on paper. Anyway, but yeah, no, he just essentially copy pasted the project that he had going on Doomworld, which is the perhaps ironically named Going Nowhere Fast project, and he just swapped that over to ZDoom. And my assumption would be that it wouldn't take off. But maybe there's, I don't know, maybe they might catch the bug as well over at ZDoom forums. They might start cottoning on to the idea of community projects and adopt our model. They've actually done one recently, and the reason I'm thinking about this at the moment is that they did do a limitation project. And it was one that I think could only come about on the ZDoom forums, not because it uses features from ZDoom, but because it's such a strange one that Doomworld could not possibly embrace, which was that you can't use any monsters that are above a certain difficulty. Like a Cacodemon was the most beefy monster that you could place in a map, and this is a set comprising. I think Jimmy made a map for it. Even as a set comprising he's the cross forums diplomat. About 20 or more maps in there or something, and they're really eager that sort of thing. So maybe they can start doing that. I don't know. It's all about mods previous.
This project is a project where you can't use monsters greater than a Cacodemon. So I guess you would create your own monsters. Is that the
No.
Is that the
No.
Oh, you have
it's
to
just
use
the stock stuff. Yeah.
You have to use the stock stuff. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah,
but you can understand for a community that like the ZDoom forums, they don't go into that territory so often, so that might still seem fresh to them or something. Or maybe it's because many of their members spend so much time making mods they don't play the game enough, and so they're not actually that good at it. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be funny if we could just watch ZDoom and it would just be like a time capsule of how Doomworld used to be, and then eventually they just
God, scary. Yeah, and then we could send prophets over there and herald in their doom.
And they start making Doom the way it did all over again, and they start they have their own Slaughterfest camp.
Then this guy called Aflonzo joins, and he makes a map for E2M6 and he makes all the same mistakes that I did. He's stuck in a nightmare.
Oh man, that would be silly.
Hey, you stopped doing Doomworld Iron Man League runs. What's the matter with you?
Oh, I just haven't I haven't sat at the computer very often. I guess I it's not that I intended to stop. I do intend. I'll give it a shot. How much time do I have left? There's only a few days left of this month.
Yeah, well, it's that game. This is the shortest one there is, so I'll get cracking.
Okay.
I do understand. I think Memphis posted at one point that maybe it was someone else. It may have been someone else that there's just too many. It takes too long to do some of the slogs. Like I put Back to Saturn X up last month, and that takes
That's right.
Maybe I wasn't. Yeah, that I think Willow took 8 hours to go through that. Jesus Christ! I didn't mean to put you through that sort of drudgery of Back to Saturn X. The samey maps. Oh dear, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But so I'm trying to keep a little bit shorter now. They seem to attract the most interest. Although Back to Saturn X, being Back to Saturn X, did get quite a lot of. They've got 44 people, so that's good.
It's interesting. I do like that you do. That you switch up every other month with like a megawatt and then a short episode. I like that because it does make it kind of a little more dynamic. And even if I don't intend to play through an entire megawatt, it might be fun just to watch someone else's view, their stream or something, if I have the time for it. And often I do. I mean, most of my activity that goes on Doomworld is through my phone. I'm not often sitting at my desk. So like even though I'm posting and stuff a lot, I kind of give people the impression that I'm there all the time, but I'm really not. I'm just posting when I have, a few quick minutes, and maybe I'll be like at a traffic light or something while I'm driving. Make a quick Doom post while I'm at it. But yeah,
how do you post those little death gifs that you do? How do you set those up? Because I should be doing those more often. They're really cool.
I use a program called GIFcam. There's a very a very small program you can download called GIFcam. You can just put it on your desktop, and it'll just record. And you can record like a small section of your desktop. And usually what I'll do is I record everything that I play. So So if I die like a weird way, I'll record my demo, and then I'll play it back, and then I'll use the GIFcam to make a GIF image of it. But I like posting.
Okay, that's cool.
It's fun posting those like death cam footage on those Doomworld Iron Man runs.
That's good. So, I mean, ordinarily, I guess, if you record everything, and considering you don't have much time necessarily, do you ordinarily play maps like in a similar way? Just if you die, and you're done for the day or whatever, or do you save a lot? Or how do you usually
I torture
play
myself.
Like
I do everything from the pistol start, and I usually have the patience to power through a couple of maps at a time, and even if I die like 5 or 6 times, I'll still like just go on through it and just keep playing it from the beginning. But if I die, I do start the map from the beginning, which is one of the reasons why I can't stand long maps. I don't see the need for them. I prefer maps to be much shorter, but that's also a problem that I do to myself.
I think you've actually like changed your mapping style, haven't you, so that you can be more efficient in the time that you do have, which is interesting. Which is I think you said that anyway. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit. I do try to reuse space a little bit more often, and I don't know. I can I like the idea of extending gameplay on a short map than creating just more map with average gameplay. Unless you have like really novel ideas for traps and stuff, I really don't think maps really need to be very long. But that's a personal preference. What do you say?
I mean, that wouldn't give anyone in the Doomworld Megaworld Club something to talk about, though, because they like their walls of text and the like. That's an interesting. I know Memphis. Geez, he's got a bit now in this discussion, isn't he? He also made. I know it's in the nature of Memphis to be something of a contrarian sometimes. At least it seems that way to me. But he did make a thread in which he was calling the Megaworld Club boring because there was no cross. There's no cross discussion. I can kind of see what he talks about. I mean, I don't agree with the way he went about it, how he set it up. But so, for example, something like Ancient Aliens, You got the first few levels of that. They're all quite similar. They're almost like tutorial levels, it seems to me. You have turret monsters. They last maybe 2.5, 3 minutes. And it's just to sort of establish the style of play that becomes the norm throughout the rest of the set. And it's almost worth just talking about that part of the game on block rather than analyze them differently. So then when you read through the Megawatt Club posts on the first few pages about those levels, and they say, oh, by the time I get to map 4 or 5, geez, I'm sick and tired of this whole tutorial setup. They don't call it that, but I wish we get into the maps proper. And it's like, you don't need to comment that much on every individual level. So I feel like the format's not well suited, but at the same time, it's the premier reviewing thread. Like pretty much all the discussion about anything that's been released recently, unless it's on a feedback for a beta or something like that, goes into that thread. It doesn't actually exist anywhere else on the forum. So
yeah,
it feels like we're kind of restricted a little bit to me when it comes to actually talking about the content of what gets put out recently, particularly how prolific we are as well. Coming back to all those autopilot Doom projects.
The thing about Doom World Megawatt Club is that, well, the way Memphis went about it, he's talking about how it's boring, but it has really nothing to do with the thread itself as much as it does the posts within it. Right. So I'm not really sure how you go about it unless you just want to tell everybody to start posting better. That's kind of
probably just to say that it'd be nice if we found other avenues to discuss what we want to discuss, really, so that we get exactly more communication. Then, of course, I think BZZ Rack actually made a new thread. I get what you're saying. Memphis isn't not calling into question the nature of the Megawatt Club thread, just the people not talking, which makes it even more confrontational. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what he's saying. Because I did participate in a few Doom World Megawatt Clubs. I forget which ones I did, but I would occasionally post a review of a map, and I kind of get the impression that nobody's reading it. I just kind of like what I'll do is I'll play through the map, and then I'll just kind of like jot down some notes, and then I'll write a review later on, and then I'll just post it on the thread, and I'll never check it. I don't even care if anybody responds to it, honestly. It's and I'm not even sure if people are reading them. And what is really helpful though is when they play a project that you participated in. And that way you get to read in-depth reviews.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Doom of the Well will post his complimentary 1,200 word post, Mr. Loquacious member, and then I'm like, geez, I'm not going to read through all this. Unless it's my map. Then all of a sudden I'm drinking in every single word. I'm like, gee, thank goodness he writes so much about these levels. I wish he'd never stop.
Exactly. That's how I felt too.
Captain Open Pocket, yeah.
Yeah, because when they reviewed Mutiny, I read every word of every post.
Right.
And I didn't even make all the maps in it, but I was involved. But I managed the project, and I took it very seriously, and I read every word.
So if you were to set about, and I'm realizing you probably haven't thought about this at all because it's kind of a niche subject, but what setup would you propose for reviewing stuff if you did, like to get more conversation going? I don't know. Would you just dump the title into a thread and say, let's talk about it, and provide no context? I guess that wouldn't, provide the framework for people to even kick off. But
yeah, I don't know how to answer his question. But I mean, he referenced a couple topics, and he was like, these types of threads are better. So I was like, okay, then why don't you post it?
Yeah. The new downloads page, which is in beta at the moment, which no one's using, I've noticed, by the way, except for me for Iron Man stuff. But they still link to the older games. Old habits die hard, I guess. But obviously, in the new one, there's space to provide actual reviews. And Captain Clever's actually been playing some stuff and posting some length reviews. But people seem to assume still that even in that space, awards deserving of no more than 2 or 3 sentences, because that's what they could fit into the old format. So that's all they do. So it'd be nice to see us finally break out of that mold. And I'm not sure what's going to become of new stuff either, because there's no front page anymore. If anyone linked to that earlier, Doom World News is right down the bottom. I think 2 editions have been put out since the new forums went up, and I've missed both of them. haven't even noticed it's there. So I'll be surprised if that survives.
Are you even able to like sign up like you could like claim WADs and stuff like you could in the old format? I don't even know how to do it. I haven't figured it out.
I haven't even checked. My mind. Let me have a look now. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I might have seen let's see, doingworld.com/new stuff, which is the old.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
It's there. There it is. No, it's there. Let's see if anyone's claimed.
Oh,
claim
you
it.
have to...
It's filled with claimants everywhere.
Oh, really?
No one's claimed anything. Yeah.
Oh, so there's nothing left. Oh, so it's just nobody knows what's going on.
It's a ghost town. That's right.
New stuff's gonna become the old.
But no,
stuff.
I mean, theoretically, we should be putting out more decent reviews now because the format's better for it. But
yeah.
We'll just have to see how it works out.
Yeah, I posted a review recently of one map by BZZZ Arak, or however you say his name. I hate reading people's handles on Doom World. But I did a review for his map, and I posted. It's cool. You can post like screenshots and stuff too, because I posted a screenshot of a place that I got stuck in his map. I couldn't figure out how to get out, and that was pretty cool. And I like the new format. You can post you can probably post links to your like demos and stuff too, which is pretty cool. I don't think you could do that before. So yeah, I appreciate Captain Clever's doing that, because it's it would be cool for him to set the precedent of people rewriting.
That's right. Yeah, just to show everyone that, hey guys, you can write more than 3 sentences now. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. And I really appreciate that Linguica lifted all the screenshots from the old new stuff reviews, because now you can like go and look at old WADs that were like released in like the 2000s, and they have the screenshots. You don't have to like guess if the map's going to be bad. You can see the screenshots for yourself.
That's right.
That's really cool.
Now, I also have it on good authority, by the way, that someone will rip your head off if you mispronounce Linguica's name. That's what Du told me. Anyway, I was warned to nut up and shut up or get it right.
I know.
Linguica apparently based on the Spanish sausage.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it too, and I keep. There's some words you like never give up, you know. Like I say GIF even though it's supposed to be GIF, but when people say GIF, I think of the peanut butter. And
I think of the cleaning product. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're supposed to say jibs, but I always say gibs. That's something I'm never gonna get out of. It's just
eternal gibitude.
Yeah, I guess when you read a word a certain way, you read it in your head that many times, and that's how you know how to say it. And unfortunately, that's just the way it works for me. So, Linguica, that's what he is.
Good. Oh boy, I appreciate the boldness, the brazen attitude. That's great. Hey, I've got an interview coming up with Natural 20 actually on the Wednesday, since Snow Ended in Sight's been released, and they recently did that in the Megawatt Club, and so I'm looking forward to that. But is there anything I shouldn't ask him about, because you already talked to him, I think, like 2 years ago, I think, on this podcast?
Yeah. Well, you're asking me to recall something that came 2 years ago of a long conversation. But
yeah, it's a bit much to ask.
I don't remember going too much into detail about anything in specific. I think I prepared some topics in advance where we talked about weapons in Doom, like which weapons are best against which monster. So like we didn't really talk too specifically about like his projects or anything. I don't know. I mean, you could ask him beforehand. I'm sure he'll tell you if there's anything he's uncomfortable talking about. But most people are pretty open. And no,
I'm sure it's fine. No, I just
Natural 20 is a cool guy too. I really enjoyed talking to him.
I mean, I guess I was just talking about like his project, No End in Sight being released. Was that more of a periphery discussion, or was it the centerpiece or something like that?
Yeah, no, not really.
Because he's a big Doom 1 nut. He doesn't seem to put out any content for Doom 2, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So I thought that might have dominated the discussion. Anyway,
I love his maps. He's even though he does kind of have like that old school style, it's also like really strange too. It's kind of it's very unique the way he does things, and I like it a lot. It's really intriguing to me. Yeah,
it's interesting, really, because Matt yesterday was talking about how always get feedback at any stage of the development process, and never let up, which is fine, of course, because that says nothing is. I mean, with regards to whether you should listen to the feedback or not, you can just receive it. It's not too difficult a task. But Natural 20's like obviously he's part of the community, but and it's not as though I'm not saying that he disregards any suggestion that's given to him, but he is the sort of character that would say, I imagine, in response to criticism, like, hey, I suggest that you turn this lava down to 10% damaging instead of 20. No, it's going to be 20. if you wander around to the lava, if you think there's something around the corner, there's nothing there, you're just dead. All right, deal with it. Conveyance is not an interest to me. That's great. He does what he wants to. And if there's an audience for it, then there is, and if there isn't, there isn't, because that's just the sort of thing that he likes to make, which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm also not claiming that Matt wasn't like that either. He obviously makes what he wants to make, and that's the priority there. But that's an excellent attitude to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because I know most people would say that they would want everybody to get their projects play tested before they push them out, but I can't say that I don't enjoy all these like surprise megawatts that come from somebody who's has no involvement with the community. Like you'll see a guy, like every once in a while, somebody will like register to the Doomworld forums, and like within a day they're like, hey, I just finished this megawatt, you guys can play it, and it's just got all these like tropes and like things that or no tropes at all, rather.
Exactly right.
It's so
because we're so stuck in our ways, and they have. It's kind of like No Rest for the Living, Russell Meekham and the Castle. I'm not sure they're the same person.
Yeah.
The duo. They're largely removed. All the Russian Doom community, which is they have their own hub over there, and the sort of realistic environments that they create. I'm not sure if you've played any of Linus's stuff, but it is so far removed from anything we put out, including the more eccentric figures in the community that we are familiar with. It's madness. It's great. Japanese community is another example. They're quite happy to draw entire comic books into the layouts of their maps. It's madness.
Yeah.
No one would think of it over here at Doomworld, or even Z-Doom, but they're happy to do it. That's great. I really think we need more those to help those communities grow and make sure they don't die off if there's any threat of that. You need more satellite communities that you can bounce off and get ideas from that are completely disconnected. It's awesome.
Yeah. I wonder if that's even possible. If people could just break away and make their own kind of separate Doom community. There are like some like things floating around. Like, have you seen like doomerboards.net? That's kind of like that's Contra
I think
Commando's.
so. Yeah, I occasionally check out a link to it every now and then.
Yeah, alternative Doom World. It's
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other ones. I saw. Have you ever? I found this one not too long ago. Somebody linked to it on Doomer boards. There was like the Booty Ass forums, and apparently it's like this community of people that are actively creating Terry Wads.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to go to war with them.
I didn't think it was. I thought it was dead.
Oh, maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, because the whole idea of Terry Wads that their existence is fueled by the disagreement with them. Right? So if there's no audience for them of hate towards them, hate attention, then they shouldn't exist in theory. I don't know. Unless they're just making the Terry Wads for their own amusement.
I hope not.
Oh, it's fascinating.
It's terrifying.
It's fascinating. Wow.
But yeah,
and that's the Booty Ass forums. Great.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like the whole background is that carnival texture that where it's like his face from the shoulders up, and that's just the entire background of the website, and all the words are like really wavy. It's a very strange website. It's the deep dark web. If you, it's I don't know. When I saw it, I was like, whoa, this is really weird. I didn't realize this was going on.
That's like Jimmy Community Crush depth down there. It's where all the anglerfish are.
Yeah,
far down.
It's the Mariana Trench. It was kind of weird to see. I didn't stay on there for long, but I kind of poked around, and it was a very strange place. I don't know.
Is there anyone you want to name? Anyone that might have been batting for the other team, so to speak? Have there been any Doomworld members that have been strolling down to Booty Assland?
I don't know.
Ooh, put him on the spot.
Yeah, and Doom Guy 2000.
That doesn't count.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
If anything, he was strolling over here, not the other way around.
I don't know. I don't know him very well, but he made that weird project.
Yes.
That I didn't even take the time to play it, but it was weird. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of poked around. I didn't recognize any names. Maybe they go under aliases there. I'm not sure. But
Oh God, no! Honestly, I wouldn't have genuinely expected you to come up with an answer. Sort of laugh and move on. But no, satellite communities are awesome. That thing notwithstanding. But I was kicking around the idea of, I guess you couldn't really make a community out of it because we are already part of the same community. Australian sort of. People like Joshy and Stu Boy and Jimmy, I guess he's more an Englishman living in Australia.
Yeah,
come at me, Jimmy. That's right, naturalized Australian, my ass. And myself and perhaps Glenn Zeno, although I think he's actually Brazilian. Doesn't matter. They're all living here.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do an Outback team project or something like that.
Yeah.
Based with Red Rock, Australia.
Yeah, they're already
Uluru, I don't know.
They're already talking about a British community project on the Post Your Doom picture thread. And I hope
that's right. Yeah,
I hope that comes
I
out.
called Jimmy
cool.
out. Right.
I don't know if it's going to be worth anybody's time to make an American community project.
Unless it's just horribly playing to stereotypes from overseas, then it wouldn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the obviously because Australia has such a shitty ping when it comes to multiplayer, there is actually an Australian community based around multiplayer. They create their own multiplayer material, I think. Anyway, but they have their own clans, so that makes sense. But otherwise, we're all based on Doom World, so there wouldn't be much point to doing that at all. Oh well, that's a shame. I'll keep my kangaroo resources for some other time.
All right. Listen, I'm gonna get going. It's actually getting kind of late for me. I really appreciate you being on the show. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah, and I've done my bit now. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, and I won't return here ever again. It'll be back to Doom Radio.
Oh, no.
So stop annoying me.
No, man, come on the show. You can be on anytime you want.
Oh, thanks. That's okay. That might drop by. We'll see what happens. So I hope the show continues to do well, for both our sakes, honestly. It's great to have more podcast competition, friendly competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope to see it take the ride.
Yeah, I hope people don't think there's any kind of like subtleties in our voice, but there really isn't any kind of like war between us or anything. I hope they don't think that.
No, none whatsoever. No, yeah. It's like those Backsetnex joke posts that are often made, and people like Townsman will go into a thread saying, "Just what is this shit? It gave me cancer." And then people will think, "Geez, he really doesn't like Backsetnex, does he? That's strange. He's a part of the team. I don't know how that came about. Weird." No animosity whatsoever. It's all coming up roses here on the podcast land. Good. Definitely. It's been great fun, John. Thanks for having me on.
All right, cool. All right, good talking to you, man. I'll see you later.
Later.